She says, shit on a regular basis. It just happened to coincide. But can I just say this? I had on last week Ira Glasser, former longtime head of the ACLU, talking about free speech. Whoopi Goldberg, who, by the way, I hope is still a friend. We can disagree with each other. Should not be canceled or put off her show, as much as I totally disagree with her crazy statement. In 3 years as vice president, she's been quieter than an electric car. And it's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact was put in charge of the border. And look at how, okay, bad example.
You just got to keep your eyes open, y'all, because if they can just come up and take somebody because they've made a decision that you're supposed to be that person, any one of us could find ourselves being deported.
Whoopi Goldberg is stirring the pot once again, and no surprise, it's for all the wrong reasons. This time, though, Bill Maher stepped in and didn't hold back, delivering a reality check that couldn't be ignored. Over on The View, Whoopi and her co-hosts were busy dishing out their usual brand of commentary, trying to come off as sharp and insightful. But let's be real, the message missed the mark by a mile. At this point, pulling the plug on that never-ending political sideshow might be the only way to spare us all a headache. So, what kind of off-the-wall opinions were they pushing this time? And how exactly did Maher shut it all down? Don't worry, I've got the full breakdown. Buckle up, because this is where things get interesting.
And you just got to keep your eyes open, y'all, because if they can just come up and take somebody because they've made a decision that you're supposed to be that person, any one of us could find ourselves being deported to some country.
Don't give them any ideas, girl.
Well, listen.
Hard to believe, but at this point, even listening to a banshee scream through the night might be more tolerable than enduring one of Whoopi Goldberg's latest rants. At least the banshee has some range. Whoopi just circles the same drain of recycled outrage. Her newest claim? Buckle up. According to Whoopi, ICE is supposedly lurking in the shadows, ready to pounce on unsuspecting Americans and deport them to countries they've never even visited. You heard that right. She actually wants you to believe you could vanish into thin air, courtesy of a government agency gone rogue. Where does this stuff come from? A midnight fever dream? A lost episode of The Twilight Zone? Or is she just drawing? Political fear-mongering out of a grab bag? Whatever the source, one thing's for sure. Logic has left the building, the drama dial is stuck on high, and the accidental comedy absolutely...
Were these people that they deported already in jail? Or were they people that they picked up? It's part of the problem, I think, for many people is you do stuff and nobody has any idea what's going on, you know? So because you have swept up many people in ICE who had no business being swept up. You swept up people who had no names, who are American citizens, and you don't pay attention to that. So people are saying, what is happening?
Let's just hit pause for a second. Whoopi Goldberg has said her fair share of questionable things, but don't worry, Bill Maher's not far behind with a reality check. Still, before we get to his takedown, there's something that needs calling out. Since when do criminals need to serve jail time first before they're eligible for deportation? Where does that kind of backward logic even come from? Are we really saying, let's keep dangerous individuals around a bit longer? Just because? Here's the cold, hard truth. Trump and his team have put a spotlight on a serious issue. Our streets are crawling with criminals who, frankly, shouldn't be here at all. And many of them? They're illegal immigrants posing real threats to public safety. Let's rewind. How did we even get here? Millions crossed the border under Biden's watch under an administration that thought assigning Kamala Harris to handle the border crisis was a stroke of genius. That's like asking a goldfish to manage a hardware store, doomed from the start. And where was Whoopi during all this chaos? Silent. Not a word. No fiery monologues. No staged outrage. But now that Trump's actually stepping up to fix the yuck's mess, suddenly she's got a whole lot to say. Funny how that works. And for those wondering, why are we footing the bill for deportations? Maybe if Kamala had done her job from the start and enforced real border control, we wouldn't be paying to clean up a disaster that never should have happened. As Bill Maher bluntly pointed out, instead of facing the crisis, this administration treated the border like a PR inconvenience, hoping it would just fade away. Now, after years of negligence, the burden falls on taxpayers. Classic government playbook: create the mess, ignore it, then send us the invoice.
In 3 years as vice president, she's been quieter than an electric car. And it's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact was put in charge of the border. And look at how... Okay, bad example.
Sure, this happened a few months back, but it still blows a hole straight through. Whoopi's overused, worn-out narrative. Shocking? Not in the least. Whoopi and her crew over at The View have practically made it a full-time job trying to discredit Trump and his administration. But no matter how loud the performance, it lands. Like a failed pilot episode, flat, forced, and forgotten. Every time they try to spin the facts, reality just refuses to play along. At this point, they're hurling accusations like darts in the dark, hoping one might finally stick. Instead, all they've created is a chaotic collage of bad takes and manufactured outrage. If they spent half as much time facing the facts as they do fanning flames, they'd see the real issue isn't Trump, it's Biden's border blunder. But let's be honest, owning up to that would mean admitting they were wrong, and we all know that's never going to happen. So instead, they'll keep shouting into the void, pretending they're making a difference, while the rest of us watch the spectacle unfold like a slow-motion train wreck, equal parts tragic and absurd.
Listen, it is very clear to me that if we don't continue to say, listen, I understand you want to clean out all the bad stuff. I get it. But why do you now have access to my personal information? I get what the things you're trying to do. I don't understand why you're taking my stuff, not my personally, but each and every one of you.
And your constitutional
rights of free speech. Which, everybody says, you never let us say anything. We're, conservatives. And in fact, you're doing the same thing you are accusing everyone else of doing.
Wait a second. Weren't we talking about ICE deporting illegal immigrants? So how did Whoopi Goldberg manage to twist it into a free speech meltdown? Seriously, how does that even happen? At this point, Whoopi either needs a serious reality check or maybe a permanent break from The View. Remember when people dared to question Biden's mental fitness and Democrats rushed to assure us he was sharp as ever? Yeah, we all saw how that turned out. They gaslit the public until reality smacked them in the face on Election Day. And now? It's the same tired script on repeat. Whoopi's spiraling again, this time railing against ICE for collecting personal data. Really? How? Else are they supposed to track down dangerous criminals? Tarot cards? Smoke signals? These aren't petty offenders. They're seasoned lawbreakers who know how to vanish without a trace. But sure, let's act like ICE should just cross their fingers and hope for the best.
You're doing it in a way we've never seen before because very few people have kept you from speaking out. But this is where we are now. Well, we're right here now. And you see, I beat the music. I beat the music.